Hey guys, Skis here, back with another Bitcoin video. So guys, Bitcoin is currently sitting at 89.9. It's actually under 90K. We're way below the 50 that we spoke about in the last video. And the 50 is at around 102.7. We closed last week at 93.7 and we're currently sitting at 89.9. So we're actually not just below it, we're kind of a lot below it, which is another reason why I think we might, be bear. I know I said in the last video that I want to see 2 weekly closes below, and also that I think it's still possible to go up until end of December. But, it actually might already be over, because one of the biggest reasons is just how much lower we are. We're not just below it, we're kind of a lot below it right now. Just to get back to it is around a 14.3% move. Just to get to it. That's not even to flip it. And at this point, because we're so low, I think it would actually act as resistance. So you have that issue, and then you have the issue that we're just out of time. Bitcoin we're just out of time in this cycle. So I don't really know how Bitcoin is going to turn things around at this point. And, if we really take a look at how the 50s acted since 2021, it held it perfectly here. It held it here. It held it here. It tried to hold on to it as long as it could. This was like a month. And then we fell below it. And once we fell below it, resistance. Came back up to it here, and it was resistance again. And look what it took for us to flip it back as support. Or just to get above it. It took this huge 26% candle by Bitcoin just to finally get back above it. Like, we needed a huge candle to get back above it. And by the way, this wasn't just a 26% move. This, you see this wick right below, like next to it and the week below, this was all one move. Like, this wick, this happened like right before the candle closed, I'm pretty sure. So it wasn't even just a 26% move, because I still remember like Bitcoin just like was dumping, and then it literally just like turned around and just like went up 45, like 50% almost. And that's what kind of took us above it. So it wasn't even really just a 26. It was also like this move here. So it was almost a 45% move by Bitcoin that flipped it. And, then we held it as support. We spoke about support. Now we're below it. And we're kind of a lot below it. I mean, we're still dropping. We're at 89.8 now. And I don't think it's completely over yet, because we didn't close the second weekly candle. But I think there's like an 80% chance that we're in the bear market. So it's terrible to say, but the thing is, I don't want to play this cycle the way I played last cycle. Because last cycle, during this move here, I remember people were just like, yeah, like we're fine, like we're still in the 50s, like we're still in the high 40s, Bitcoin's fine, don't worry, we're still in the bull market. Then we came down to like the 30s, and people were like, yeah, like we're gonna, Bitcoin's fine, like we're still in the bull market, like, buy the dip. And then what happened? We came all the way down to 15K, and literally the whole time we were doing this, all you're going to hear from a majority of these people is that buy the dip, we're in the bull market, altcoins are going to make you rich. That's probably what you're going to hear. I'm not like, going to say that or anything, because I, just want to be realistic and actually make money. If we're bear, what I think will happen at some point, I don't know when Bitcoin's going to do this, but I really think Bitcoin's going to have a pretty big bounce. Like, I don't know how low we go before we get the bounce. Like, maybe we come down to like 75 or like 79 or 80 or whatever, somewhere down like in this range. Bitcoin comes down here, gets a pretty big bounce. Maybe we bounce from there like to the 50, which is like doing something like this. And then this pushes us down like deep into the bear market. I really think that's actually possible. That's kind of, because if you really look at it here, this line here, I remember like where we set the all-time high and then we came back to it. We finally broke it. When we finally came back down to it, look at the bounce we got. We got a pretty big move up, right? So if we come back down to it, it would make sense to bounce again. It would make sense to bounce again, but maybe just not as high, maybe to the 50, which, you know, if we keep drawing, it's like this, come down, and then we just like free fall into probably the bottom. At this point, you know, we'll probably do something like this. I mean, this was crazy, by the way. These are the weekly candles. I remember Bitcoin pretty much printed like 10 or 12 candles almost consecutively, except for this one green one here, just red. Like, this was a huge dump. So I think we're going to get a pretty big dump at some point. I don't know how low it's going to take us. I think the lowest we go is 32, in my opinion. Like, I don't really think we're going to go back into the 20s. I think that's just, it's over. Like, we're not going into the 20s anymore. Obviously, I have no idea, but that's kind of what I'm thinking with Bitcoin now is we will get a bounce at some point. We'll probably at some point test the 50. Now that we're below it, we'll probably get rejected, and then we'll probably make a really big move down. And people will still be calling that we're in the bull market during this whole period. So that's really it, guys. It's already 6.5 minutes, so I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.